6 days now, and it's going well so far. I really enjoy it.
That's great to hear. Any
Yeah.
particular challenges you're facing right now where you could use some support?
I have a couple of questions actually, if we could run through those. The first one that I've kind of been thinking about is how to move through games more quickly. If there's any tips or any things that you have like that that can help me maybe move through games, because I feel like I'm getting answers right, but I'm just getting it at too slow of a pace in order to get through to that fourth game.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there are two big ways to speed up on games.
Mm-hmm.
One is to make more inferences up front.
Mm-hmm.
The other is to maximize your reuse of previous work. So any valid hypothetical scenarios you've drawn over the course of the game, as well as the initial orientation question's correct answer, all of that can help to serve you for future questions in the game, especially those more general global questions.
Okay. And I guess kind of along with that is um, I've noticed that in some of the games, if you can make 2 to 3 diagrams, you've solved the whole game, and then you can get through those 4 or 5 questions extremely fast. So I was wondering if there's any clues or anything in order to see, okay, this is potentially going to be a game where there's going to be 2 to 3 diagrams, and then that can help me answer the rest of the questions.
Yeah, there is. So in particular, if you see a particularly influential variable, the
Okay.
different placements of that variable, if it's limited to only a couple of slots, you just make let's say three different diagrams where you place that variable in each of slots 1, 4, and 7, let's say. So diagram A has it on 1, diagram 2 has it on 4, diagram 3 has it on 7, and then you see what falls into place around that variable based on its different position.
Okay. So it's just, I mean, it kind of seems like it's just the more that you do them, and then if you realize that there's a clue that's going to be really limiting or something for the rest of the game, then maybe from there you kind of start to see, okay, maybe there's going to be 2 to 3 diagrams, something that I can make based off of this one clue that's going to limit everything else.
Exactly. And it becomes especially powerful when that particular variable's placement helps to determine what else can happen. So if, let's say, if variable A is on slot 1, and then you have a rule when A is on 1, B is on 2. Okay. That can kick off a chain reaction. Additionally, if you have a rule that says such and such variable can be on either slot 4 or slot 5, when you put A on slot 4, that means that other variable will have to go on slot 5. There's nowhere else it can go. And so other things unfold because of the placement of A.
Okay. And does that usually happen? I'm assuming it's going to happen in ordering games and maybe in like grouping games. Is that where you tend to see it the most, or is it just there's really no like rhyme or reason for why one might have 2 or 3 diagrams and be limited to that?
Well, ordering and grouping, that's the majority of games, right? Aside from that, you have the combinations of different game types, typically some types of ordering and some types of grouping mixing together. You also have your pattern, rare, curveball type games as well. Right. But I've been speaking, the example I gave, of course, is an ordering example. I could easily see this coming up in a matching game as well. Okay. And elements of it can happen in other game types too, but it's going to be less clear cut.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then I guess one other thing. So I've done the Princeton review course or something before this. And so right now I've been doing like the 1 month, kind of like outline for studying. I was wondering if that's what you would follow, or if there's something that you would maybe, if you'd like jump around to certain different topics, or just continue to follow the 1 month study guide, because that's what I've been doing. And it's been working thus far. I just didn't know if you had any other suggestions for it.
Sure. Well, what's your target test date?
Well, I'm going to take the August one, and then I will also might take it in October.
Okay. Well, you've got,
how the August one goes. So
Sure. I think that's a good decision, by the way. I mean, August and October, you take both, you can still apply fairly early in the cycle.
Right.
So it's a good idea. Regarding the study plan, I mean, speaking now, between now and August, we're at the end of June here, you've got roughly 7 weeks.
Right.
Between now and the August LSAT. So you have more than a month remaining. You could do the 2-month program instead, especially considering the prep you've done up to this point. It's possible actually that given your prior prep, maybe the 3-month program would be better for you, and you can pick and choose 7 weeks out of that 12-week program that best fits what you want to work on. So you've asked me about logic games. Maybe logic games are an area that you want to do some additional practice. You can follow the logic games portion of the study plan.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm looking at the schedule, and I'm thinking at least I'll probably do it for 2 months. because I mean, I have 7 weeks, so I'll be studying for it until August, and then depending on how that August LSAT goes, because that'll also be my first time taking it. Like the actual version, obviously I've taken a lot of practice tests before, but, and then just seeing how that goes. Is that something, because I've heard that law schools, sometimes they'll look at all of your LSAT scores. Is that just depending on what law school you're applying to?
Well, the law schools see all of your valid scores on record. So they're going to see, if you take both August and October, they're going to see both of those scores, assuming that you don't cancel. And I don't recommend canceling, by the way, except in very rare situations.
Yeah.
But August and October, they'll see both of those results if you take both, but they only consider the highest score.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the idea of taking both August and October because you still apply early in the cycle. You have 2 at-bats. Let's say October goes better. Fantastic. The October score is the one they're going to consider. If you drop for whatever reason from August to October, that's fine then. The August score is the one that wins out in the end. So the higher score wins out no matter what. They will see all and they can hypothetically consider all. But when it comes down to it, their incentive is to consider the highest score because that's what goes to the ABA. That's what's factored in for the US News rankings. And a lot of their job relates to helping to raise their status in the rankings through numbers.
Right. Okay. So you'd recommend making sure to take it in August and October?
I probably would. Yeah. Assuming that you're able to stay fresh on the LSAT for those additional 2 months or so,
right,
I would highly recommend it. And at that point, August versus October, during that additional period in between, a lot of it may just come down to taking more practice tests to stay fresh, reviewing them in depth, and then working on any weak areas on the side. So maybe drilling logic games if logic games are still an area of focus, or maybe you'll want to work on a particular logical reasoning question type or a certain category of reading comp passages. You can do even just 1 practice test a week, plus reviewing it, plus targeting a weak area. It could be as little as, let's say, 10 hours a week during that additional period.
Okay. I guess, and as far as right now, where I'm not currently in school, and I guess this is taking up most of my time, is there an amount of practice tests that you would be saying that I should be taking weekly in order to prepare for the LSAT?
I would say at least 1 a week at this point.
Right.
You could do 2 a week as well if you have the time to take them and also review them in depth. I would also just point out, since the August LSAT is the first 4-section LSAT being administered, you want to make sure you're taking 4-section practice tests, not 3 like it was for the flex, not 5 like it was before that. You can do a little bit of 5-section exams just to really push the endurance a little bit, but make sure that you're simulating test day as realistically as possible. But 1 or 2 a week is plenty. Just make sure that you're taking the time to review them, and review, as you know, takes a long time done properly.
And what are some, I mean, I know in some of the videos you kind of cover tips for reviewing, but I was wondering if there's anything outside of those videos that maybe that's newer things that you've realized that also kind of helps with reviewing, because I know that that's such a critical part. So you're just not keep on missing the same types of questions over and over again.
Yeah, sure. I would say that if you look at a lot of the full-length class recordings, there's been a lot of different styles, not only presented by me, but by the instructors and the teaching assistants as well. I mean, I've shared my style and my innovations in my videos, but there are plenty of other best practices contained within the course as well. So I take a look at some of those. And if you have access, attend some of the live classes as well to see how they're walking through it in class. Because there's all different ways to do it. I would just say, take a look at several different methods and then see what best fits your style.
Okay. All right. So yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, I think that answers the questions that I had.
Awesome, Isaac. Well, I'm really glad we connected. Any questions in the future, just reach out. I'm happy to help.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you so much. Will do.
Yeah, of course. Have a good one. Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.